Like,
When you're gonna die in your 20s.
what
Having a teenager, being a teenager.
Tomorrow, we will have shortened classes.
and then we do nothing.
We are
No,
going
we're
to
doing
take
a
a
quiz.
quiz.
Huh?
It is a whole
One problem.
5 questions.
Oh.
There are 2 equations,
What if we do
like the front side of this handout, 2 inequalities, like the back side of this handout, and then one is just a basic, like, what cannot be a solution? Like, if I gave you this problem, what could not be a solution to this?
I don't like this either.
1. Okay, so 5 questions, and you know what they are, right? Everybody was listening.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
Mike,
So,
you want some eggs? I'm good with
let's run through how we do each type of problem. So if I'm looking at this one, what can x not be? Front side. So our strategy for these equations, we multiply by the denominator, and we always have to check at the end to make sure that the denominator is not 0. So for the first fraction,
Never mind.
my denominator is 2, so we have to multiply everything by a 2, which cancels this. What else do we have to multiply by? And that cancels this fraction. So I'm left with 2x minus 3 times the x minus 1. 2x times the 2. And x times, can I go ahead and distribute and make that 2x minus 2? Thanks, you guys are agreeable. Alright, so now if I multiply it all out,
We need to keep going before they come back, so we can
so we're done.
so we don't have to do it.
So 2x squared minus 2x and minus 3x will be minus 5x plus 3 plus 4x equals 2x squared minus 2x. Alright, so if I add these like terms first, so we get 2x squared.
No, they cancel with that.
Yeah, I just haven't done that yet. I was just adding these. But you can go ahead and do that. Alright, so if I subtract my 2x squared, those drop. I'm going to add over this x. So I get 3 equal to negative x. So x is negative 3. Check. You don't really have to show me the work for that, but we have to go back and make sure it's not a 1. Could you actually plug this in? Yeah, absolutely. So just make sure you are taking that time to check. And if I had gotten something that makes the denominator 0, then I would say no solution for that. Alright. So, a couple practice problems. So, 2 of your homework problems tomorrow, or 2 of your quiz problems tomorrow, are going to be these equations. So if I'm looking at the first one, what would we have to do to start this?
After denominator.
Okay. Alright, so how do I factor x squared plus 9x plus 14? So, if I put a question on the quiz and said, what could x not be? What cannot be a solution on this problem? Alright. So now we have to get rid of our fractions. So the first one we have to multiply by the x plus 2. And that cancels the first piece. What else do we need to multiply by? So if you write this next step or not, that's kind of up to you. I'm left with 1 times the x plus 7. 3 times the x plus 2. equals 5. So we get x plus 7 plus 3x plus 6 equals 5. Sorry, we started without you guys.
No.
I can start over if you'd like.
No.
So if I subtract my 13 and divide, I get x equals -2. But at the very beginning, we already said x could not be the -7 or -2 because they both make the bottom zeros. So my final answer is no solution.
You have to do the first part.
Yes. Oh, no,
Okay.
Okay, why don't you guys take a second and try the next example. Okay, there's two options on this. First of all, what can x not be? 0. Some people went through and multiplied by x squared. Some people did x and x squared. You'll get the same answer either way. If you just did the x squared, 1 times x squared is x squared. This cancels one of my x's, so we get a -3x minus 10 equals 0. If you did x and x squared, then you had this, right? So on this one, you would have to take out the greatest common factor.
Your x would be first.
This we can just factor into x minus 5, x plus 2. So we get x to be 5 and -2. If you multiply by x and x squared, you got 3 solutions, 0, 5, and -2, but we know x can't be 0, so you cross it off. So whether you multiplied by just the x squared or the x and the x squared, you should get the same answer at the end. So both are correct options. All right, are we good with how to do equations? Second part was inequalities. So with inequalities, our strategy is one side has to be 0, and the other side has to be a single fraction. So the first thing I would do on this problem is what? Subtract the 1. Okay, 1 is like 1 over 1. What do we have to do in order to combine those?
The best matching denominator.
Multiply by 2x.
So you get 2x plus 1 over 2x plus 1. Then I could distribute my negative, and since those denominators are the same, we can now put them together. So x minus 2x is -x. 2 and negative, 2 plus -1. Okay. So then we figure out what?
So each of those equals 0.
Alright. So that gives me x equals 1 and -1/2. So then we kind of use our graph. We are graphing this piece when we had our correct setup. We have -x plus 1 over 2x plus 1. You need to know parentheses around both the top and the bottom. What are we trying to decide off this?
When it's negative.
So before -1/2, our graph was negative. Between 1/2 and -1/2 and +1, our graph was, and after 1, which ones did I want? Yeah, less than or equal to. Equal to means brackets. Can both of those get a bracket?
No, just the one.
Right. The -1/2 makes the bottom 0, or if we look at our graph, we had an asymptote there. So it can't get a bracket So my answer is negative infinity to negative 1/2. Union bracket 1 to infinity.
Ooh.
Is that one okay? What about the next example? It's already set up the way we need, isn't it?
You just have to set
Fraction on one side, 0 on the other. So what makes the top and bottom 0?
0 and 2.
Okay. We graph this.
There's a negative, negative. There's a minus.
Because that causes a bounce. So if we look, before 0, my graph is after 0, and then after 2, it's positive. Alright, I wanted greater than 0, so I want positives. Do I get parentheses or brackets? Parentheses.
Yesterday you said
To infinity.
do that.
I
But is it
said-
because there's no bracket?
It's because there's a square.
Okay.
That's what caused it to bounce and have the same sign twice in a row. Alright. One last problem. What do I do first?
Just subtract it on the same side.
Okay, we need them on the same side.
Wait, how are you gonna close them up? Do we have this possible?
We have every class for like 20 minutes. Alright, so what do I need to multiply the first one by?
Your x put an IST.
And the second one?
X.
So 1 times x minus 2 is x minus 2. 1 times x is x.
That's kind of fun.
The x's cancel, so we get negative 2 over x and x minus 2. What makes the top 0? Nothing. What makes the bottom 0?
There's 0. Oh, because you, yeah.
Is everybody with me? So then when you graph this, be careful. Put an extra set of parentheses around the entire denominator because it's got those two things multiplied. You can throw them around the top. You don't have those.
Oh, that's one here.
So before 0, the graph was negative. Between 0 and 2, after 2, which ones did I want? Let's see. Any brackets? No, because I didn't ask for an equal to. Plus, they're both asymptotes. I couldn't have them anyway. So negative infinity to 0, union 2. Alright,
I think we.
think so. Any questions?
Is this the new Walter Mooney?
There is a handout posted on file.
I did the same